Dialectics of Nature by Friedrich Engels applies the principles of dialectical materialism to the study of the natural sciences. Engels, one of the key figures in the development of Marxist thought, wrote this book in the late 19th century, though it was published posthumously. In this work, Engels seeks to demonstrate that the same dialectical laws that Marx and he had applied to human history and society could also be applied to the processes of nature. At the core of Dialectics of Nature is the application of dialectical materialism, a concept developed by Marx and Engels to explain the processes of change in society to the natural world. Dialectical materialism is based on the idea that reality is made up of material processes that are constantly in motion and subject to contradictions, which drive change and development in society. In this framework, change occurs not through a simple linear progression, but through the resolution of contradictions, leading to new, higher forms of development. Engels argues that the natural world, like human society, is governed by these dialectical laws. To evidence this, he discusses the transformation of energy, the development of life from inorganic matter, and the evolution of species as processes that follow dialectical principles. In this view, nature is not static or unchanging, but is constantly evolving through the interplay of opposing forces. One of Engels's central arguments in Dialectics of Nature is the interconnectedness of all natural phenomena. He critiques the reductionist approaches of contemporary science, which often isolated phenomena to study them in a vacuum, without considering their relationships to other processes. Engels insists that a true understanding of nature requires a holistic approach that sees every process as part of a larger system. For example, Engels examines the relationship between different branches of science, such as physics, chemistry, and biology, arguing that they cannot be fully understood in isolation from each other. The development of life, for instance, cannot be explained purely by biology without considering the chemical and physical conditions that make life possible. This perspective is crucial for understanding how changes in one area of nature can have far-reaching effects across the entire system. Engels's approach here is reflective of the Marxist understanding of society as an interconnected totality where economic, political, and cultural phenomena are all interrelated and cannot be fully understood in isolation from one another. A significant dialectical law that Engels explores is the transformation of quantity into quality. This law posits that gradual quantitative changes can lead to sudden, qualitative shifts, a concept that Engels applies to both natural and social phenomena. In nature, this can be seen in processes like the boiling of water. As heat, a quantitative change, is applied to water, it remains a liquid until a critical point is reached, at which it suddenly transforms into steam, a qualitative change. Engels argues that this law is not only observable in nature, but is also a fundamental principle in the development of society and history. For instance, the accumulation of small social changes can eventually lead to a revolutionary shift in the social order, much like the heating of water leads to boiling. This principle is a cornerstone of dialectical materialism and illustrates the dynamic nature of both natural and social processes. By applying this concept to nature, Engels provides a powerful tool for understanding how seemingly small or incremental changes can lead to major transformations, a concept that has profound implications for both science and social theory. Engels is highly critical of the mechanistic approaches that dominated 19th century science, which often sought to explain natural phenomena through simple, linear, cause and effect relationships. He argues that this mechanistic view is inadequate for capturing the true nature of reality, which is complex, dynamic, and governed by dialectical laws. In his critique, Engels points out that mechanistic science tends to view the world as a collection of static, isolated objects, rather than as a dynamic system of interconnected processes. For example, the mechanistic view might explain biological processes purely in terms of physical and chemical reactions, without considering the broader environmental and evolutionary context in which these processes occur. Engels' critique extends to the way science was being practiced in his time, where the division of labour in scientific research often led to a fragmented understanding of nature. He advocates for an integrated approach that considers the dialectical relationships between different phenomena, emphasizing that true scientific progress requires understanding the connections and contradictions that drive change in the natural world. Engels emphasizes that nature itself is a dialectical process, characterized by continuous change and development through contradictions. He argues that this dialectical movement can be observed in various natural phenomena, from the development of the Earth's geology to the evolution of species. One example Engels provides is the process of geological change. He describes how the Earth's surface is shaped by the dialectical interplay of constructive and destructive forces, such as vakankanativity and erosion. These forces are in constant conflict, but it is through this conflict that new landforms are created and the Earth's surface evolves. Engels extends this dialectical view to the evolution of life, where the struggle for survival leads to the development of new species. He sees this as a natural extension of the dialectical process, where the contradictions between organisms and their environments drive evolutionary change. This understanding of nature as a dialectical process is central to Engels' broader project of demonstrating the universality of dialectical materialism. He argues that just as society evolves through the resolution of contradictions, so too does nature, making dialectical materialism a universal law applicable to all aspects of reality. In line with Marxist philosophy, Engels stresses the unity of theory and practice, particularly in the natural sciences. He argues that scientific inquiry should not only seek to understand the world, but also to transform it in ways that benefit humanity. This idea is a continuation of Marx's 11th thesis on Feuerbach, which states that the philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. Engels suggests that scientific advancements should be used to improve human welfare, advocating for a science that is both reflective and transformative, capable of contributing to social progress by understanding and harnessing the dialectical processes of nature. He believes that scientists have a responsibility not just to observe and explain natural phenomena, but also to apply this knowledge to solve practical problems, improve human life, and advance the cause of socialism. This theme is particularly important in the context of Engels' broader critique of capitalism, where scientific and technological advancements are often used to serve the interests of the ruling class rather than the needs of humanity as a whole. By emphasizing the unity of theory and practice, Engels calls for a science that is aligned with the goals of social justice and the betterment of society. Dialectics of Nature has had a profound impact on Marxist thought and the way Marxists approach the natural sciences. Engels' work laid the foundation for a materialist understanding of nature that is consistent with Marxist views of society and history. By applying dialectical materialism to the natural world, Engels provides a framework for understanding nature as dynamic, interconnected, and subject to the same laws of change that govern human history. The book has been influential in shaping the Marxist approach to science, which emphasizes the importance of understanding the dialectical relationships between different phenomena and the role of science in advancing human welfare. Engels' critique of mechanistic science and his advocacy for a holistic dialectical approach have inspired generations of Marxist scientists and thinkers to explore the connections between the natural world and social change. Dialectics of Nature remains a critical text for those interested in the intersections of science, philosophy, and Marxism. It offers valuable insights into how we can understand the world, not as a collection of isolated phenomena, but as a complex, interrelated system in constant flux. Engels' work continues to be relevant today, as we face new challenges in both the natural and social worlds that require a dialectical understanding of change and development. We have been the Left Library, and this has been Political Theory Simplified. If you have enjoyed this overview, we implore you to read Dialectics of Nature by Friedrich Engels to deepen your understanding of the relationship between Marxism and the natural sciences. Thank you for watching, and let's continue to learn and grow together.